first one I'm looking at is Article 26, so it's as good a place as any to start. Did you have a chance to read the language, Steve?
Yes, ma'am. And I think I'm good with it.
Consistent with what we talked about?
Which one?
26.
26? Yeah, okay. You want to TA that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm just, if you want to, we just hold copies right here.
Oh, yeah,
Give it
that's
to you
fine, we can do it all at once.
If we're able to go forward.
20.1, Article 20 annual leave. I just changed that first reference to 6 months, changed it to 3 to be consistent. And then on 20.5, struck, employees shall forfeit all leave accumulated over the 2-year max, and changed it to any leave balances in excess of the maximum allowable on June 30th will be adjusted on the first payroll in July unless a carryover is authorized in advance. I pulled this right out of the directive, but I'm thinking instead of adjusted, it should say forfeited. We need to be clear. The reason it said adjusted in the directive is because there was some language before that discussed that it would be forfeited. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on that. You think forfeited is a better word?
Forfeited, I think, was what was in the MOU.
In the directive that we issued.
Yes.
This I pulled directly out of the directive.
Okay.
So
I'm
we
okay with-
did
I'm
say
okay with forfeited
adjusted, pardon
because-
me?
I'm okay with forfeited because it lets them know you use it or lose it by.
Right, so I want to
in the
change this revision that I just handed you. I need to change the word adjusted to forfeited.
I'm good with that.
Okay, and you're right, David, that was the language in the MOU, in the directive, but this sentence was in, I pulled it directly from the directive. It just didn't have the previous language that said forfeited included in that particular sentence that I yanked.
Now, could we tear off on it with a handwritten adjustment?
I'm okay with that if y'all are. The
Right,
forfeited,
it is
we're gonna
our
change
floor.
the word adjusted to forfeited, and then we can TA.
Yeah, we have it on the record.
We have it on the record, and I'll get you a revised.
It'll be in the minutes too.
It'll be in the minutes.
Guarantee that.
Probably
She
that.
doesn't miss much.
Yeah. She'll probably put in there, Chris ate 2 brownies.
I saw a third.
And Karen took 30 minutes instead of 20. And on holidays, I think I found a simple solution for 22.4. The original language said the city may elect to schedule the employee to take a day off on another date with pay or compensate him, her for the holiday at the straight time rate. I'm proposing that we strike that first sentence, beginning with schedule, and change it instead to say the city may elect to provide compensatory time at the straight time rate or compensate him, her for the holiday at the straight time rate. Is everybody, is that clear? Okay.
For the actual hard copy of the TA on 26, I think you both should just put your initials next to forfeited.
Okay,
Initial at the top and then initial next to the written word.
next to the written in Word, Steve, are you good with that?
We're good, covered, yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Making some progress. Okay, we ready to move on?
You didn't get the second page of this one. Hang
Which
on.
one is that?
20, oh, if you didn't get it 20 at all. Hang on, I'll bring it back to you.
I didn't sign it?
No, ma'am.
Oh.
It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that brings us down to pension and wages and, position classification and pay plan. Start with some discussion. Okay, so the first, page that you're looking at is an Excel spreadsheet where we costed out the cities, the FOP proposals for pension and wages. Pension, first of all, you costed in your, special report prepared by GRS and in your PowerPoint. You had, we took your numbers straight off of the PowerPoint for the increase to the city contribution in years 21, 22, and 23. The increase in year 21 for the COLA that you proposed, the increase to the city's contributions would be $65,000. And then, of course, there's 67 in 22 and 70 in 23. The proposed change for the increasing the backdrop interest from 3% to 6% would result in a total over the 3-year period of $52,957 increase to the city contributions. And then, of course, the increases to the city contributions for the buyback that you proposed, using the chapter monies for the current employee buybacks, would result in a 3-year increase to city contributions of $655,000, with a total for the 3 years of $912,000, or a 41% increase over 3 years to city contributions to pension. In the wage proposal, we costed out your proposal, which was 2% in the first year, and then 4% and 6%, with a continuation of the 2 to 3% merits. And the resulting additional cost to the city there would be the $1.2 million, almost 1.3. So a total over the 3-year period for your proposals is $2.193 million. On the next page, I just wanted to talk for a minute about the comparators. You all provided us with you cast a very wide net for your comparators, and you went statewide, coastal cities, I understand. A lot of those cities are in South Florida. A lot of them have a much higher density, different demographics, different populations, different circumstances. And for probably a majority of those cities, there's a vast difference in the cost of living. And so for those wage comparisons to be truly relevant for us, we would at the very least have to make an adjustment for cost of living. So we took a look at our surrounding agencies. I did not include all of them, for instance, Orange Park. We didn't feel like, there were some of them that were just not really close enough in culture to us for us to take those into consideration. We did look at Daytona Beach, Fernandina, Jacksonville Beach, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, St. Augustine, JSO, and St. Johns County. And so the blue lines with the dollar amount, $43,472, these are all starting salaries for the 3 levels, the first line supervisor, second line supervisor, and officer. The blue bar is Jacksonville Beach, the gray bar is average, and as you can see, we are above average in all three ranks as compared to these Northeast Florida comparators. A couple of things make it difficult for us to compare apples to apples. I'm sure you guys are well aware of all the differences in all the pay plans. Some of them offer education incentives, some of them offer shift differential, some of them offer, you know, various different other incentive pays. We did the best we could to try and come as close as we can to comparing. Neptune Beach, for instance, for their first and second line supervisors, they're higher than anybody else, but they have a built-in education incentive in those ranks. So they don't give an additional city education incentive on top of this pay grade. So again, there's a lot of things moving here that would keep it from being an exact apples to apples comparison, but we feel that this is a much more relevant comparison and puts us in a much more marketable position, a better position in the marketplace in terms of recruitment and retention. I also took a look at your labor statistics over the last 3 years. It seems like every year, you know, that we negotiate, we come to the table and we all are talking a lot about turnover and retention. And that's always a concern. It's an ongoing concern. But, you know, we acknowledged that for the first time you guys are full in employment. We, you know, of course, we want to try and do what we can to make it stay that way. I did find, get my hands on it, that you have, in the last 3 years, 2017-18, you had 10 people leave for reasons other than retirement. 10 in 1 year. But for the last 2 fiscal years, 2018-19 and 19-20, there's only been 3 in each year leave for reasons other than retirement. So, you know, we've also acknowledged that you've had a change in administration. We've had a change on this side. You guys have had a change in the police department administration. And so it appears anyway, and I know it's a little early, but it appears that maybe there is a trend toward better recruitment, better retention, and we've gotten some real positive feedback too on just improvements to the culture. So recognizing all of that and taking into consideration where we are in our budget process, and like we said, we already see decline in those state shared revenues. So we took all of that into consideration in putting the pension and the wage proposals together. I'm sorry, I missed that. So Article 29, retirement. The first paragraph, 29.1, that is just a little cleanup language. The current article addresses the June 24th effective date. We are just incorporating the chapter and article and division section of the code where that's already codified. And then in 29.2, we are restating the actual effective date of the current codified plan. Now, everything else where it says plan changes already included in the plan, 29.2 through 29.13, we are not proposing any changes to those. Like we said, we feel like we're not in a position to make a long-term commitment to any of these provisions that would have the city's costs going up incrementally over time. Like we said, pension is for a long haul. It's not for 1 year or 2 year or 3 years. It's for, we look at it over a 30-year period. And we don't feel like we're in a position to make those kinds of commitments.
But you still want the chapter monies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 29.12, all accumulated excess premium tax revenues as of October 1st, 2016. that we will need to strike, but we wanna leave that in there until we've got a revised actuarial valuation in hand that will then make this a moot point, no longer necessary. So in 2914, we have come up with a counter proposal for your buyback proposal that would provide for new employees only to buy back up to 3 years of service from prior military or another agency, and that's in accordance with state statute. I mean, the language here is consistent with what's provided in the statute. For purposes, on the second page of that article, the second sentence, for purposes of, I'm sorry, it's the first sentence. Credited service purchased may be used for the purpose of benefit calculations and eligibility, but not for meeting the vesting requirements of the plan. I think that is what you all propose, that they wouldn't be able to use it to get to their 10 years, but they could buy
That's
back.
correct, it's a benefit on the back end.
Mhm,
Yes.
right. And this would provide for new employees to buy back service as long as they pay the full actuarial cost of the service. So every time that somebody wants to buy back, that actuarial cost would have to be calculated at that point in time.
Who's funding that actuarial study?
Pardon me?
Who would pay for that?
The plan would pay for that. That would be a pension plan cost that the board would authorize. That's a normal administrative cost of operating the plan.
Okay.
Anytime, we have, right now, we have situations where an employee can buy back previous service with the city if they've had a break for less than 5 years. That has to be actuarial calculated, that's a cost of administering the plan. We looked at your proposal to have them pay it back with a 20% deduction, additional deduction from their pay, which we feel would be really difficult. If they're already paying 7.95 for pension and additional, 7 for Social Security and Medicare, and then if you lop another 20% off their payroll, we felt like that would be burdensome for new employees. So we are proposing to give them up to 5 years to pay it. And again, that would be something that would come before the board. The board would have to vote anyway to approve that buyback, and the board can set the parameters for the payback terms. They could pay it over time with payroll deductions up to 5 years. And that's typically, we looked at some other plans and, we've got some advice from our attorney, and that's typically what we're seeing. The plans that do have a buyback provision, they're allowing up to 5 years to pay that back. If they leave anytime during that 5 years, they get their contributions back, including those buyback contributions, with interest, just as if in any other contributions that they're paying into the plan. They wouldn't have any vesting if they don't complete the buyback. It wouldn't allow them any additional credited service. Do y'all have any questions?
I guess my only question is, your proposal includes us giving chapter monies, but there's no benefit. I mean, there's nothing.
That's the current agreement.
I
Those
understand that.
chapter monies are used to offset city
Y'all forced that on us on
contributions.
the last day. You guys said this is a package proposal, either you give us the chapter monies or we go to impasse. And you sat
Those
right
were
there on that
Eric's-
third
those were
seat and
Eric's
said it.
words.
So, I was hoping that new administration knew everything, that chapter monies would be used with what we proposed, which was a benefit. This is chapter monies with no benefit.
Which would increase the city's contribution tremendously. And where are we at right now? What percentage of payroll are we contributing to this?
I think it's about double what the employees are. I think it's
I
about
think
two.
it's more than that.
About 2 to 1 right now.
I think it's more than that.
I mean, even with the chapter money, would be a hit to the general fund in
It
excess
would
of
be a hit.
$200,000.
It's $228,000 a year.
228 is what we factored in for 2020. Given
Okay.
that would be a hit.
Last time, we were basically told, either you give us all of your accrued chapter monies and future chapter monies, we go to impasse. That's what we were told on the last day. This is
And
a
we're
package
not
proposal.
saying that, but that is, the current agreement is that the chapter monies are used.
No,
to
I
offset
understand,
city
like I said, and
contributions.
I, again, we sat here on the first day and we said we hope that this was a new administration, knew everything, and, we were hoping that we wouldn't get another, we're taking all your chapter monies, this is a package proposal, or we go to impasse proposal put in front of us.
We are currently using those chapter monies to offset city contributions. If we
I
are,
know what they're
if
u- I know what they're
if
used
we
for.
are to agree to anything other than that, then we would have to make reductions somewhere else. Because then we're talking about a $228,000 hit to the general fund.
Yeah, so you basically budgeted chapter monies,
Yep.
Yes, and that's in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement.
not moving forward,
Pardon me?
not moving
And
forward.
Eric, listen, and Eric's used that exact language with us in the past, okay? When a collective bargaining agreement expires, everything expires. So you're,
It's still in place until we agree to something different.
well,
And it has to
But
be
his
mutual
intent was that
agreement.
it was gonna change.
yeah,
with it.
remind him of that, okay?
It's still in place until we mutually agree different.
And what if we don't mutually agree, we go to impasse?
It stays in place, we can't impose this.
Yes,
It
you can
can't be imposed
impose
at
where you
impasse.
take half the chapter monies, all that good stuff.
It can't be imposed at impasse. The wage proposal that you're looking at represents a 1% increase on October 1, 2020, and continuation of the current pay plan, which is a 2 to 3% merit. And in the second year, we are proposing a continuation of the first year pay plan.
With no additional increase.
That's what we're proposing.
Sorry, what was the second year?
It's the
The same as the first year.
Zero.
And the position classification and pay plan, if you all want to talk a little bit about special assignments. In E, number 1, that's just a language change. We